Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
It's our joy to be here with you. And as Supriya said, we were in Dallas 1994, 95, 96, 97. When Dallas was just starting up. And so we helped begin the center, and now we live at Ananda Village. We both work at the Expanding Light. Sorry, I'm thinking as I'm talking, okay, what should I say about us? We've been here a really long time at Ananda, and it's our joy to share with you. We haven't been to Dallas for a long time, so we're really looking forward to come back for a visit at some point, and hope to see any of you here when you come. And what else, Krishnas?
Oh, just even though we haven't been there a long time, when people visit also through the newsletters and through the grapevine, we hear good things about Dallas, and it's always close to our heart. So when we spend time somewhere and put our heart and soul into it, you never really leave it.
Right.
The intensity of the time, not even the duration, really. That was a beautiful time.
Yeah, and it's wonderful that you're all keeping it alive and going, and Supriya and Mayatri and everyone that's there, keeping it going, keeping it alive. We're part of a big family. We really are.
Okay, so we best jump into our topic. I wanted to start with a whispers reading, as we do. Today being on the topic of courage, basically. Courage, success demands the courage of conviction. So Master says in whispers, I know now that I am a lion of cosmic power. Bleating no more, I shake the air forest with reverberations of thine almighty voice. In divine freedom, I bound through the jungle of earthly delusions, devouring the little creatures of vexing worries and timidities, and the wild hyenas of disbelief. O lion of liberation, ever send through me thy roar of all-conquering courage. So I feel that was a very good apropos reading, because it states that, it's a given that we're going to have some worries and some, what does he say, vexing worries, and in the jungle of earthly delusions. This is where we're sort of residing. We're in this material world, and our goal is to be not of it, but to be devotees holding to our conviction, our belief that we are children of God, and that we are going to do our utmost to live in that light. And it takes courage. Now, the reading today was on something very important, not even important, just challenging. If you find members of your own family, your familial family, that is in some way making an effort, either overtly or subtly, to diminish your convictions, living for God, living your path. And so sometimes it takes some very serious, I don't know, you have to confront it. You have to confront it. And if you don't, it will just haunt you. And so many have that test, and some don't have it at all. But Christ is saying that, and what I love about our path is it's very practical. If it's not an issue, don't make it an issue. You know, what Swami says is that, because also in the Bible it says, honor thy father and thy mother. So if you're honoring your father and your mother because they, in a way, that reverence is needed and it's appropriate, then that's really the dharmic thing to do. Otherwise, but if anyone in the family is putting up some roadblocks for you to going deeper in your path, then through the sword of discrimination that we need to eliminate that obstacle. And sometimes it takes creative work. I know that when I got on this path, and I'm come from a very large Italian family, and you didn't even move away, and here I had done that, and I deliberately did not go back for 5 years. Back, I grew up in Ohio, and that was a big thing for us in those days, to separate from the family like that. And they really wondered what was going on. And so, so in my communications, I know that my mother, she said, you know, I was always sending her quotes of Master and Swami, and because she's a very religious woman, very saintly. But there was this one talk where she said she had made some disparaging remark about Swami, you know, because I think she was jealous, you know, and thought she was losing me. And I just said, if you say one negative thing about Swami, you will never hear from me or see me again. I got her attention on that. But then years later, after she visited the village several times, one time we were all going to go down to Mount Washington on pilgrimage with Swami, and I got very concerned, you know, because it just so happened that my mother was visiting that week. And I thought, oh, here I am. I made this drama in my own mind, you know, here I am. I should be with my teacher, going to these sacred shrines of our guru. And here my mother's visiting. I can't not be here. And I was in this quandary. So I spoke with Swami, you know, and he said, oh, wonderful. Because I was thinking about the hermitage and leaving it vacant for that whole week. Now you could stay here with your mom. Relief, you know, and so through those several visits, she had read the path and so on. So beautiful outcome with her in relation to this path and me being on it. Anyway, but I wanted to get on to courage. So the courage of our conviction, our belief. Swami says that the right courage is to accept whatever comes because it is the right thing to do. Accept whatever comes because it's right to do it. But he said there is foolish courage that jumps into things, not even considering whether it's right or wrong, bounding forward. And he said usually that ends in catastrophe. But right courage is based on wisdom and the understanding that it's worth doing whatever it is, even though it may mean some suffering. And because we are focused on the result in this sense, in this context, is that the pain will be temporary, but the spiritual benefits will be long-term. So when we have that sense of courage, that we are going to stick to our beliefs on the path and live for God no matter what. And so the reading today in the rays went right to the heart of something very difficult when your family is at odds with you. But I wanted to broaden it just to say that in living a courageous life, Swami was such an example of that. He had so many oppositions. Master himself had oppositions, you know, in trying to bring these teachings forth and live for God and do the dharmic thing and live to spread these teachings like Master, like Swami. And that's really what our Dharma is ourselves, to try our best to live in the light. How do we, and the reading mentions discrimination. Discrimination's key. Discrimination being Master defined as knowledge born of the soul. Because we have to discriminate. Master gave us this beautiful formula, you might say: meditation, introspection, and discrimination. How do we contact or stay in touch with the wisdom of our soul? Well, it's through meditation primarily, and many of other aspects of your sadhana, but meditation is the key. And so we meditate, we get clear, we get in touch with God, our own soul, innate wisdom, and we get detached. And then what do we say? We introspect. We look at the day. We see how it went. What were our experiences? What were our exchanges? How they could have gone better? How we could have handled it differently? We do that from a detached, impersonal perspective. Otherwise, you can get caught up in emotion and why did it happen? And it's a lesser evaluation. So from a detachment, meaning you're getting a soul objective view, we review it. Then when we come into our day-to-day activities again, back into action, we employ discrimination, perhaps on those very same issues that we may be, in a flow dealing with. But discrimination comes, it's born of soul wisdom, and discrimination takes that kind of focus to apply to your life. Otherwise, you're coming from the ego. Now, again, this being a lion of courage, when we could live our life, otherwise we would be contracting. We're either contracting or we're expanding. Something comes towards you, something comes into your world. What would be the contractive thing to do? To denial, it's unfair, avoidance, rejecting it, carping spirit, defensive. All of those ways are a contraction for the disciple, for the devotee, for the spiritual warrior. What would be the expansive thing to do? Embrace it. See that it's coming from the guru, no matter what it is. See that it's coming from the guru, and then accept it. Have faith and trust in that. Employ positivity. The beautiful affirmation today, it goes with this. Be positive. And then from detachment, being detached to whatever's going on, bring forth the fruits of your sadhana, calmness, peace, joy. Because when we are confronted with these things, we lose our sense of calmness. We lose our center. Our faith is shaken. Our trust may be shaken. So we have to, center ourselves and focus on all the gifts that we've been given. These teachings, these precepts, these teachings, these techniques, they're all in our bag, our tools to live life as a spiritual warrior and to bring forth the very highest and get through with this karma. Everything that's going on is some kind of karmic, play. And we have to have faith that whatever's coming is meant to be. And you accept it with as much courage and even joy, and then do your best. Do your best, because in that prayer at the end of the affirmation that we are going to remember that God is always with us. God and Guru is always with us every step of the way. And that when we shudder in some kind of contraction or fear, why we suffer is we're cutting ourselves off from that line, from that ray, from that direct connection that will be the very thing that will help us get through it. There's never any judgment on God's part. Never any judgment on God's part. Whatever comes of itself, let it come, and we do our best to fight the battle with joy and with everything that God and Master has taught us from the sacred teachings of this path.
So I want to talk about clarity on the path, and to do with this, to do with, having the success means that you have to put out the energy. But what happens most of the time with people when they're having problems is they don't have the clarity. They don't have the clarity to know how to act. And that's the most important thing. Swami Kriyananda said one time, he said, 50% of the solution is to have clarity to the problem. Because sometimes, isn't it true? You have this problem, you have this coming up, and you have this vagueness around it. You don't quite know what to do. You don't know how to act. So how can you be successful if you don't really know what to do in the situation, or you don't know where to take it? And so in any situation, you need to act, okay? But first, get really clear on what the action will be, as clear as you can, and wait and feel that endorsement in your heart. And when you feel the endorsement in your heart to act, then jump on it. And that's where it takes courage sometimes, because as Krishnadas was saying, sometimes it's hard, maybe. And as Swami had laid out the different levels of courage, is this just foolish courage? Or is it something that's going to take a lot of energy on my part, but it's right to do? And when you have that really calm feeling about something, then that's telling you, okay, take this course, go ahead with it. And even if it's hard, and so how do you tell that? You listen inside, and that's why meditation is so important. And I know all of you are meditations practitioners, so I'm not going to go into that more deeply. It's just we have to do it. And that's what develops intuition. And then when you get the clarity, then you go ahead and act on it. So it's really, wait, I want to take this a certain direction okay, so you need to keep your energy high if you want to get that super conscious. And what clarity really involves is putting your whole being into God's hands and being receptive and taking his whole consciousness into yours. So it's not just being clear in your mind, it's being clear in your consciousness. And I wanted to tell you a story about a friend of mine, because what this story is doing is illustrating what often happens in our lives. And I think that this is a cycle that can happen, and something that we've probably all been through. And it's just such a good illustration of this, of being clear, but also other things, that the tapasya, which is the strength and the discipline that we need to get to a certain place. Sometimes that's what happens. So this young friend of ours, she's she's not that young anymore. She's just turned 40. And, we're all growing and getting older. But she's like a daughter. And I've been with her for since she was 14 years old. And just been there in all her ups and downs and seen what has happened in her life. And at one point, she met a man, a very wonderful man. He was a meditator. He had just been down taking a seclusion in Southern California with SRF, and at the Hidden Valley, and been with the monks. And he had come up to come up, and she had met him, and they hit it off, and we met him. He's a wonderful young man, and they have fallen in love, and so they got married. Now, he was from a different country, and so they got married in his country, and uh, it was beautiful. And then she got pregnant, and they had a baby, and something in him changed. He's no longer meditated much. He didn't have a job. He was a yoga teacher and did really well at that, but he was losing his enthusiasm. He wasn't taking responsibility. He wasn't working anymore. She was supporting them, and she could because she was working online and made good money doing that. And more and more, he wasn't the same person that she knew when they got married. His whole vibration and consciousness was getting lower and lower. And so their marriage started not doing very well. And she decided after a few years that she needed to go somewhere else, take their son somewhere, and maybe just take a break from their relationship. And so she moved to Ananda Village. But she's also from a different country. And so she could just be here 6 months at a time. And when she moved here, the money she had been making went really fast, and she had a job. And I just watched this woman. She was amazing. She put out so much energy. She didn't have a car. She had to get her son to school every day. And then when winter came and there was snow and rain, and she got a bicycle, and she was riding him to school on the bicycle, and then it'd get rainy, and getting groceries and everything. She just put out maximum energy. Meanwhile, she's working, trying to make money. But the odds were against her in some ways, because she couldn't make enough money to really live, take care of a 5-year-old, and it was kind of just getting worse and worse. I mean, we were helping her as we could, and other people were helping her. And living in a village is wonderful because people help other people a lot. And but she was starting to get a little bogged down with it all. And so at one point, she lost her job, and she was working with Education for Life, which she really loved. And but then their funding ran out, and so she didn't have enough money. So she's thinking, maybe I need to try it again with my husband and go back. And so she moved back, and and it was really bad. It did not work. He was drinking and smoking, and it just he was, it just was not a good situation. And so all this series of decisions that she had made all through her life came to this point where they were living together. She was trying to keep it together, but his consciousness was just like, he was very close to her. He really blamed her for leaving, all this stuff, right? Okay. So then she was starting to get sick, and the consciousness and she was feeling defeated, and being in that energy of his energy. I think what had happened was he had just gotten really depressed, and he had a very domineering mother, and all the things that people go through. Okay. And in this situation, and so she was starting to feel defeated. And this is a young woman who just has so much energy and so much, she's very powerful in when she puts her energy towards something. And so it got to the stage where she decided she needed to go somewhere and just work on her health a little bit. So she and her son went to another island, and she had a friend who was helping her do a detox diet, and all this stuff. And she's calling me and she's saying, I don't know what to do. I just have no idea what to do. It's just, do I go somewhere else? Do I move somewhere else? What do I do with my life? What's best for my son? All this. And I said, okay, well, let's talk. I said, what you need is to get clear on what do you want and what's your priorities. You need to be clear and find clarity. And so we talked, and she I said, once you're clear, it's going to be, you'll be sailing. And so nothing came up. Okay. So then we hung up, and the moment we hung up, I had it. I knew what she needed to. By then it was late at night. I mean, there was a 13-hour time difference. And so I wanted to wait till the next day to make sure it still felt right to me, because you need that endorsement in your heart. And then I called her the next day and I said, okay, first of all, what is your goal in life? Your goal is to find God and to do your dharma according to what's right for you. And so your dharma within Master's bigger dharma, which we all have. There's the bigger dharma of serving Master's work, and then each one of us have our own dharma to do. And that's what you need to find. Okay, but fine. And I said, what's your immediate priority? To find your a place to live and to educate your son. Because here's her son who had been in our Education for Life school at Ananda and had flourished. He goes back to where they lived, and the school was so bad he didn't want to go to school anymore. And I said, so find yourself a place to live and start a school. And so then you can educate him and educate all the other children. Now, this wasn't like I'd come up with something new for her. She'd always been interested in Education for Life, and had even sort of began with someone starting a school many years ago when she lived there before. So basically, she started to cry, and she said, yeah, I feel that. She said, I feel that in my heart. I feel that's what's right to do. And so now I'm not worried about her at all. It's like, as soon as she had that clarity, and as soon as she knew what she needed to do, then her health started to get better. She realized she had to get out of the environment that she'd been in. As Master said, environment is stronger than will. She had to find a place to live that she could start a school in, but a place that was populous, so it had other kids that could come to the school. I mean, all the things started falling in place, and then the other thing I said, and this isn't just a school, this is going to become a training center for teachers, because they can come there and stay inexpensively. And this is, then she has this long range plan, and it's really clear. Now, I think this is what happens to us in smaller cycles, maybe more subtly, perhaps. But isn't it true? It's like you get yourself in a jam because of the decisions that you've made in your life that were perhaps unthinking, and according to your karma, you just let your karma unwind. And I like what a friend of mine said one time about relationships, and you meet someone, you wait before you marry somebody. Wait a long time. You might have caught them in a good year. And that's what she did. In a good year. But that wasn't in the end. I mean, he may come back. I think he will. I think his consciousness will rise. But, you have to really make decisions consciously and wait for that total endorsement in your heart. And so just to say, this is what happens to us over and over again, isn't it? And then we have to work really, really hard to change the direction of our life and put a lot of energy out until finally it comes. And that's the discipline and the tapasya that you have to do to get to that right place again. And then how do you do that? What's the most important thing? Do it with God. Do everything with God. Have that devotion in your heart with God. And make sure that everything that you do, you ask God, is this the right decision to make? And when you feel that endorsement, then you say, yes, that calmness, it has to be very calm feeling. And then put out energy. And if you don't feel the endorsement, put out energy, because that's the only way to attract it. And you'll know if it's not right. I mean, it is, you'll hit roadblocks, you won't feel right in your heart, but you have to put out the energy. And then God will guide you when you do it with him. So that's the whole purpose of our life, is to do everything with God and to find God in this life. And that's the purpose of our life. And we have to do it in whatever way, but we have to serve. And so God bless you all. So does anybody?
Bless you and thank.
Go ahead.
Before we do that, I would like to encourage, number one, Mark had zoomed the camera back so you could see most of the people in the room. Mark, can you do that again? So, and we are going to open it up for questions and answers, but how about the people online? We would really appreciate, rather than having the black box with your name in it, if you could open cameras for a little while for Krishnadas and Mantradevi, that'd be great. And if not, we understand.
Hey, we can see you. This is so good. Hi. Hi, Renee.
Yeah.
Dinah. It's nice to see your names.
Get out of your pajamas.
Yeah. So let's open it up now for questions. Online, you can unmute yourself and ask the question, or you can put it in the chat box. Here in the temple, we have the microphone set up, so if you have any comments or to direct to our guests, please, let's do that. Come to the microphone, and we'll just give a moment for people to see what they would like to express. But it's so good to see you guys. Can you see people? Linda is waving.
Yes.
We can see.
We can see the people in the chairs. You zoom in a little bit on them.
Mark?
Which one?
Just pan them, because they're a bit in
Everyone's
shadow.
so small, we can't
A bit
quite
in
see
shadow.
them.
Yeah.
Can't see who's there. Put on my glasses. Okay.
Here we go. Yeah, that's better.
But it's nice to see the people online too. Hi.
Oh,
Oh, okay. There's
two
more
over
people there than we thought.
Yeah. Okay. Who wants to engage? Discussion, question? Everybody's silent, living with God in the moment. I love what you said. I'll just comment on that. Easy to say. It does get easier to do. to take God with you, whether you're taking out the trash, whether you're doing the dishes, whether you're working here in the Sangha house, to keep that consciousness high. I find it's taken so much practice, 30 plus years, and I'm still practicing. And it's great to be surrounded by spiritual friends when we are working. We often have to be in the world, but by strengthening our remembering with spiritual friends, then it does get easier when whether it's a job outside of this, here in the Sangha house or in the grocery store, it gets easier and easier. I can say that for me.
Master said that.
Go ahead, Mantradevi.
I was just gonna make the quote that Master said, environment is stronger than will. So that's very important.
Yeah.
I was going to say that I enjoyed the comment about 50% of the clarity is 50% of the solution to a problem. And it seems to me that it kind of evolves where one can get to the 50% and then just get more and more clarity. And in the end, it can become even more the solution than 50%, because once you've got clarity, then we're continuing to seek more clarity. Once you're going one direction, it's like, well, should I go a little bit a different direction? Should I stay where I'm going? Should there, and then it's like an opportunity to perceive more and more clarity. In other words, it's kind of like when I was on Weight Watchers. You learn to lose some weight, and then you learn how to lose more weight. So once you learn the process of clarity, then there's a process of improving that process. And so, to me, clarity is the whole deal.
And that reminds me, who said, it was a Yoganandaji that said, all we have to do is improve our knowing. Was that Master or Swamiji? I don't know.
And how do you do that?
You
meditate. It's through meditation
meditate.
And service. Those are the two things that Master said were the most important. And when somebody asked Swamiji, said, what's more important, service or meditation? He said service, because that gets your energy going. And then it becomes easier to meditate.
But not one without the other.
Yes, right. Yeah, you can't get out of it. That's a combination.
Because when you get your sadhana really rolling with meditation, it's our sanctuary, that's where we can let it all go. And then when we do jump back into the fray, we are better equipped to deal with whatever. So I like what Mike said, because that 50%, I think he was describing the law of magnetism, and you get it going, and then it sets up this magnetic field of attraction, and because all the solutions are right there for us. We just have to draw them into our consciousness, discover them.
Does anybody have any thoughts to add, or your own personal experiences? That cycle that just goes around and around. It's like, you've probably seen it in your life. What have you done? Yeah, go ahead. Hi.
Hi, Krishnadas and Mantradevi. This is Stuart. I don't know if you remember my wife Claire and I from last year. We met with you for spiritual pilgrimage at the village.
Oh,
Yeah.
And I'll be seeing you in a couple of weeks. I'll be up for the Kriya initiation, so I'll see you soon.
Wonderful.
I'm using the water bottle that you gifted me.
That's right. Yes. Anyway, it's so good to see you. And I'm looking forward to seeing you in person in a few weeks. But I really liked what you said about the contracting and expanding. And that was a great reminder. My best friend and his wife, I'm going to share that with them because she's having some difficulties right now expanding. She's really gone into a contraction phrase, and phase, and it's got him kind of also contracting as a result. So it's the ripple effect, right? No matter whether we're contracting or expanding, we're doing one or the other. And it's
Yeah.
much more beneficial for not only ourselves, but everybody around us when we can be open to just, as you said, kind of accepting it how it is, whatever comes, let it come, and then go from there. So I appreciate the reminders on that in your talks this morning. Thank you so very much. See you soon.
Mhm.
Okay. Well,
Yeah. And that's what it all is reminders, isn't it? You know, it's like reminders to open, to let God in, to work with God, to work with our higher self.
I always work with that analogy or concept of the spiral staircase. You know, we come to things in our life, and through the filter and grace of Guru and Divine Mother, it'll be about what we can handle at that time in our understanding our spiritual evolution, and we do the best we can. And sometimes it seems like it kind of goes away, but then it comes back again in a more subtle level. And because we're just kind of, what is the goal? Perfection. And we come to it again, and by then hopefully we're a little more wiser and a little practiced at it, and maybe we can do better.
And I'm
Someone
hearing
got the
the word
microphone.
trust.
Go ahead.
Am I not? Can you hear
Your
me?
microphone's on.
I'm wearing a microphone, so can you hear this?
We
I
can't,
was
yeah.
just saying what you all just said to me was like, and through all of that, whether we're going up or whether we're going down, the awareness, and that we can deepen our trust. And once you deepen the trust in God, that no matter if it feels good or it feels ungood, that it's God's still involved and the trust deepens. So we have Mark at the microphone.
Hi, Krishnadas, Mantradevi.
Hello,
Good to
Mark.
see you again. Krishnadas, I loved your story about your challenges with family and with your mother in particular. I'm not sure if in particular is correct, but I had a similar experience with my mother, who was a very Catholic person, and we had this conversation several times about Jesus is the one, the way, the truth, and the light, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And I try to have this conversation with her. Of course, she's getting on in years at that point. I didn't come to the path until I was in my 40s, and so she was, but she would. We'd have this conversation, and I thought maybe we were at a point where there was a little bit of an understanding of what I was doing, and then the next time I'd visit, we'd have the same conversation all over again. So, but I wondered if with your family, with your mother, if you had any advice for people who are who join this path and kind of need to help their relations understand why it is they went this direction.
That's a good question. I did cultivate carefully the, wanting to get my mother's, not support, but just, feel okay for her benefit. I didn't want her to be worried. And so I would feed her quotes from Yogananda and Swami, but just not say who it was from. I just say a wise person. And I got her saying, oh, that's really good. That's really, Jesus said that, or whatever. And I got her on a positive flow. And then I would start with the quote and put Yogananda after it, something like that. So she was already rolling. But that was a really fun drama, really, because when I said I didn't go back for 5 years, it's just because no one really left the family like that. And I purposely did not want to go back because they, the scenario of them instilling a little doubt in what you're doing, or, just it wouldn't be helpful. So, but I'll tell you where it got to, which is, since we're on this, one time my mother visited and we were in the dome with Swami, and this is where it came to. she's sitting there on the couch and I'm holding her hand because you're a little intimidated in front of, she knew she was in front of greatness, and she was, on board now, and she said to Swami that she wanted to thank him and that she had done her best to raise me in a good way, with good morals and spiritual principles and so on and so forth. And he said, she said, but now I realize you're taking over and you're his teacher now. And it was so sweet. And then he just looked at her and he didn't say, oh no, you'll always be his mother and you'll, and sort of defer like that. He said, yes. And he's taken over. It was so sweet, because they say your parents are your first gurus, and some of us have good ones and maybe not so much. But anyway, that all really played out with such grace. I was so grateful. And but the very end cap is I think we had one exchange near the end of her life. She goes, well, but Jesus is really, she could not jeopardize her own salvation with saying like Yogananda and Jesus are equal. She couldn't go that far because I think everything was at stake in her own faith at that point. And I understood that perfectly.
I think the key too is saying that what is comfortable for her, and just meet her at her own place but be strong in your place. It's like, but pray for her. I like that suggestion. Send her quotes. Don't say who they're by. That kind of thing.
That's a great one.
Is she open to that? Open to that kind of thing. And then just let God take care of her.
Also, I think the longevity of our path, of us being on the path, and then them seeing over the years the benefit and what it's doing for us, our own happiness, because that's really their ultimate concern, and that we don't go to that bad place because we're not accepting Jesus as our only savior, but kind of skirt that. And I think they're just mainly concerned if we're happy and skillfully, cultivate that relationship. And I think, but it's all karma, it's karma with the parents.
Yeah.
It can be just quite individual in your experience with what goes on.
Yeah, I came to.
Is reminding me. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Mark.
Okay,
Yeah,
mine was just reminding me that to tell you the story about when we got married. It was an Ananda wedding. We did the whole the whole thing. Sang songs and the fire ceremony and everything, and it was the most surprising thing that my very Catholic mother, who was who was there, said afterwards, that's the most beautiful wedding I've ever seen.
Weddings are a good doorway.
They really are.
They definitely are.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't until my parents visited Ananda that they saw what was happening. My dad, they were afraid I was getting into a cult, and my dad forever after called it the cult farm. but but he wasn't against it anymore, And so
I know what I wanted to finish was that with longevity, us being on the path and seeing the fruits of our efforts and how our consciousness is expanding and we're getting happier and more, and so on. And those perhaps closer by, in our extended family, how their lives had not progressed anywhere near as good.
yeah.
So that kind of like the fruits, the tree is known by its fruit, or the tree that we're picking from, is goes a long way. So in time, patient, patience, and in time,
Yeah.
it gets better.
And you know,
Thank you very much.
we don't want them to try to change us. Why should they don't want us to change them?
Mhm.
Yeah, no, and that's true. It wasn't like I was trying to convince her that this was okay just for the sake of trying to get her to change her path. It was more I wanted her to be okay with feeling that, get to the point where she felt like this could be a true path as well as the one that she'd chosen in her life. So, thank you very much. I'll turn it over to somebody else.
Mallory, I saw you raise your hand. Do you have a question?
Hello, thank you for your talk. It's really, really apropos. It's really good timing for me. My main relative is my niece, and my parents are gone, and my sister's gone, and her daughter lives in Florida, and she doesn't, I don't know if she believes in God. She believes in angels. And her mother sent angels everywhere, especially St. Michael. So, and she lives in Florida, I live in Dallas, so I haven't even thought about approaching Yogananda's teachings. However, she knows I go to a meditation center, and I guess I could talk more about that, because I've kind of kept it close to my chest. I think I could expand more with her on that and talk a little bit more about what meditation means to me. I don't know, I wouldn't try to bring her on the path necessarily, but let God, be more loose about letting God speak through me, letting Yogananda speak through me to her. And she has a very functional life, although she drinks. That's how she relaxes, she drinks. So, any thoughts on that?
This is your daughter?
Niece.
Niece.
My niece.
I think what you said is good. Just you have to kind of gain entry where you can intuitively perceive the person's open. And everybody would like some peace of mind, some solution-oriented approach to life and positive thinking and those things. I don't mean to sort of diminish it, dilute it down to like prosperity consciousness and positive thinking only. But I think in those ways that it would benefit her life, meditation, we know, is across the board and helps everyone. And some paths, they don't even mention God, but they do meditate and they're getting some benefits. Our path is more devotional, bhakti oriented, but there's probably some way you can, her best, to put it to where it could benefit her life in ways that would motivate her.
And realize too that example speaks louder than words. So her seeing your example and how you live your life and how you think and that you're meditating and serving and all that speaks very loudly.
I need to talk more about it,
I love these stories.
Okay,
I love these stories like the parent brings their child to the guru and because the mother's son is drinking and the guru goes, "What do you drink? What's your favorite drink?" "Oh, vodka." Yeah, vodka's really good. Bourbon's good too, And he's talking to the person like that because the child is waiting to be reprimanded or, told that he's bad. And the guru, cleverly, skillfully might say through wisdom, finds that opening. And then the person now it was the karma of the parent, the karma of the child, obviously. And then the child goes back home and he suddenly stops drinking. He found an endorsement there and felt good that he wasn't bad. It was good. He felt good about himself and then went from there. And these stories are so different for us in the West, but they do have a good lesson.
Yeah. Atul, I just saw that you came on. I thought you were in Spain. I just saw a picture of you in Spain.
1 second. Let me get my video going here.
Okay. There you are.
Hello.
Hello, Atul, how are you?
I'm doing well. Sorry, I'm late. I totally miscalculated the time difference.
Well, you know, if we didn't get an email from Supriya, we would have too. I
We
had,
would have missed the whole thing.
it's a good thing you send that out, really.
So it's wonderful seeing pictures. It sounds like it's going really well.
Yeah, I'm actually in Assisi now. So we have been in Assisi for a couple of weeks and we depart again to Northern Europe starting on Wednesday. So we were in Spain for about 3 weeks and those were the pictures and videos you were seeing.
Okay. Well, some people might not know why you're in Spain. What's
Oh,
happening?
yes. So I was in Spain. For those that don't know, I am traveling with Asha Nayaswami, and as she tours through Europe, and Spain was the first leg of the trip. And so she's going around different places as she does and teaching, passing on the teachings and sharing the wisdom and everything that we've learned and are so fortunate to have.
Yeah.
I have to say, because it just this sweet little episode with Atul. We met in the expanding light dining room, getting our meal, and I said, "Oh, you know," I introduced myself. He said, "Oh, I'm from Houston." And I said, "Oh, I got my start in Houston." And I said, "I went to the yoga. I was attending the Yoga Institute," and then he pulls up his T-shirt. He has the Yoga Institute on his T-shirt. And then I found out I said I was Swami's, you know, audio and recording engineer. And he said, "Oh, that's what I do." And
Yeah, so I do that for Asha.
And now he's the videographer for the tours. He's been
Yeah.
going through with us for
Yeah, so I do the video and photography and sound stuff. So I'm the IT guy now.
great opportunity.
Yeah, right. Well, that's great.
Well, we miss you, Atul, here in Texas, but the good news is when Atul has a break from his touring with Asha Nayaswami, he does seem to make his way here to Dallas, and we're so grateful when you always come because, you know,
Oh,
I
thank
think
you.
the vibrations of all that you're doing it's very natural, and this is for all of us. Whatever we are immersed in, our vibration and consciousness, hopefully, is being uplifted. And so
Yeah.
then we can share it with other people. So when you get back to the States, come back to the
I'll come visit.
Sanghamas.
I'll come visit. We missed you, Supriya, in Houston when Mark and Maitri came down for the Om weekend, and those programs are always very helpful to us in Houston. So it goes both ways, and I'm just grateful.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us today, Atul.
Yeah, sorry I'm late, but I'm glad I caught you guys at the last tail end of it.
Yeah.
From
It's a
Assisi.
small world. It's a small world. We can be all over the world.
Yeah.
Also, I'm just very grateful, Mantradevi and Krishnadas, to see you today, and just this, you know, service. Your example has been just unbelievably important for me and for all of us here.
Yep. You got us started, Mantradevi and Krishnadas. You somehow planted the seed or watered the seed that was already within us, and we are so grateful to still be here personally, but also collectively with Ananda, Texas. Real blessing. So Mantradevi and Krishnadas, can you tell, do you have any pilgrimages coming up?
Yes, but it's not too soon. A year from now, it's the Hamal pilgrimage.
September 2025.
Yeah. And then a few months later, the
Footsteps.
the footsteps of Yogananda India pilgrimage in January of 2026. But then it's not necessarily our pilgrimage we're leading, but then 2026, maybe you've already heard the advance news of the 100th birthday celebration of Swami Kriyananda at the village. And it'll be a week long. People are coming from everywhere, hundreds of them.
Yeah, we're calling it the Kumbh Mela of Swami's Kumbh Mela.
Oh,
We're getting people.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
we're,
it's going to be a
we're,
big deal. It'd be even bigger than the dedication of the new temple.
yeah, so there's a lot of creative minds and energy going as to how we would accommodate this number of people at the village. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So.
you'll hear, I'm sure you'll be hearing about it.
Well, we want to wrap this up. It's a little after time, noon here, unless anybody has any burning comments to offer. Well, again, we just want to say thank you for everything, for being the part of the initiating of Ananda, Texas, and we are happy to be part of it. And thank you for continuing to join us online, to pray for us, because I know you pray for all the meditation groups, colonies, and everything, as we do as well. We close all of our daily meditations, and include all that. So thank you so very much.
Welcome. Let's
love
end.
you.
I wanted to say thank you too for having us.
Yes.
It's our joy to touch back in whenever we can.
Yes.
And who's ever present, we appreciate you being a part of this as well. It's our joy.
Do you want to close us with a prayer?
Okay. Heavenly Father,
Father,
Divine Mother,
Divine Mother,
friend, beloved God,
Friend,
Jesus Christ,
Jesus Christ,
Krishna Babaji, Lahiri Mahadaya,
Lahiri Masha,
Swami Sri Yukteswar,
Swami Shri Krishna,
our beloved Master,
our beloved Master,
our Mansa Yogananda,
Paramanta Yogananda,
saints of all religions,
saints of all religions,
beloved Guru,
beloved Guru,
Divine Mother,
Divine Mother,
infuse in us
infuse in us
your
your inspiration.
inspiration.
May we always perceive your guidance.
May we always perceive your guidance.
We may carry out your will
We may carry out your will
with courage and faith,
with courage and faith,
with trust and love,
with trust and love,
knowing that you are always with us.
knowing that you are always with us.
We are your children.
We are your children. Om.
Peace.
Peace.
Amen.
Amen.
Go out with joy.